What's going on, dividend chasers? It's the dividend bloodhound here with a update on the oil price crash. How are we all doing today? What a nightmare for the oil companies. So the announcement yesterday that the oil companies wouldn't proceed, wouldn't fall in line with each other to cut supply has added a great big massive glut to the market. So Russia decided it didn't want to play ball with OPEC. So Saudi Arabia has just decided to turn around and flood the market with oil, which basically means that Russia is going to earn next to nothing from the oil that it exports. So there's so there's an unofficial oil price war that's just been declared between these two countries, between the OPEC nations, but mainly Saudi Arabia and the Russian Federation and the Russian oil companies. And this is having a massive effect across the stock market when compounded with the coronavirus fears that's going on right now. So if I just have a quick look at my free trade account, which I'm just logging into right now, will give me 2 seconds. As you can see, I am £250 down. Just turn the brightness up on my phone so we can see. So yeah, there we have it, £250 down already today. What a start, shall we say. The American stock market isn't even open yet, and I've already taken a great big hit. So I hold 2 oil companies in my free trade app, which is Shell and BP, and Shell was already suffering as it was, but now its share price is £13.77. Excuse me a second while I scratch my eye. So £13.77, and it went unopened today. It just dropped straight through the floor, but it's slightly recovered, only a little bit, but it has slightly recovered back. I'm currently £66 down on this stock. Now, bear in mind, I only own 9 shares. You can see that that's a pretty substantial dent in my portfolio. 35% off the share price at the moment. I'm 35% down. Now would be a good time to start looking at getting into Shell, probably. Just wait for the market to even out a bit first and wait for these new oil prices to settle in, and then see where the share price goes. But they're in a little bit of trouble, I would say, because their earnings were down as it was before this hit. So yeah, will the dividend get cut? Probably not, but just significant headwinds for the company. And then the same with BP. So I own a few shares of BP, 24 shares, and the price is currently £3.16, which really isn't much. Back to the crisis of the Deepwater Horizon times, and it fell 80 pence just today. There you can see, almost straight off a cliff, straight nosedive, extra discount to be had, almost 80 pence off its share price. And to date now, I am £37 down on that company at all. I'm not really that worried about it, to be fair. I think it will pass in the longer term, but for now, I'm just going to have to pull up with a big dent in BP and Shell's profits, because, as I've already said, Saudi and Russia are going to be trading. Saudi Arabia and Russia are going to be trading blows with each other for the foreseeable future over this. And it's going to end up between who basically gives out first. And I suspect, since Saudi Arabia has got the most money and the most oil, I suspect it could be Russia, but who knows? I don't think it's going to cause anything major, and it's a good thing in some parts of the economy. Airlines have got cheaper fuel now, so has cruise lines. I mean, cruise lines have been absolutely destroyed anyway by the coronavirus, but that might be a little bit of a break for them. Us, everybody in the country as a whole, I'm talking about the UK here, but probably worldwide, we're all going to benefit when filling our cars up because petrol prices will get cheaper. No doubt they'll be slow to implement the, oil has already fell to like $40 a barrel. And no doubt the petrol companies will be slow to actually move that through to the pumps, but eventually when it does arrive there, it will actually affect us quite well in the pocket. Just shareholders in the near side are going to have to put up with a big dent in their share price. Yeah, right. So now we just play the patience game with it. I'm going to try and average down my positions in BP and Shell over time, because I don't think this is going away anytime soon. As I already said, it's just going to be a blow for blow, with Russia, between Saudi Arabia and Russia, the biggest producers. But there's the rest of OPEC in there. Even the UK still produces some of its oil. The USA produces oil, and all the other countries. Venezuela's really going to struggle it already is struggling as a socialist regime. There is absolutely on its backside, but. Yes, but in the future, they would have hoped for higher oil prices to perhaps pay off some of their debt, but that is not currently happening at the moment and not happening for some time. I'm just going to go and check out my trading 212 account as well, because I hold Oxy in that account, Occidental Petroleum. That was a very high yield, but and much more risk holding of mine. And I genuinely thought that things couldn't get much worse for the company, to be fair, but it turns out that it has. I mean, the American stock market isn't even open yet. Just got to get on my phone. Sorry, the internet connection's a little bit dodgy. Yeah, I'm just going to check on my trading 212 account. The American stock market hasn't even opened yet, and I've got a feeling that Occidental's already going to take an absolute walloping for this one. So if it's in line with anything like Shell and BP, I'm in for quite a big depreciation in my holding. So let's have a look. Yeah, £64 down overall out of £346. Not good. And there's Occidental there. So I only own 3 shares, 3.1 shares. I'm £26 down. £26 down on them already, which is, yeah, loads of fun, eh? But I always bought these for the long term, to hold on for the dividends. And try and wait it out. So hopefully there'll be a price recovery in the future. I'm not saying anytime soon, but that will benefit the 3 holdings that I have. I mean, I don't see any oil company not suffering at least a little bit to their revenues from this, like all the major ones: Exxon, Total, Shell, BP, the Russian companies, the Saudi, even Aramco from Saudi is going to suffer from this, because they're pumping all their resources out and getting very little back. Well, not very little, but they're getting a lot less back for it than they usually would. And they're depleting their resources a lot quicker than they already would have. So just to recap, what's happened is really there's been a great big loss in demand for oil due to the health scare that's currently going on. In reaction to this, OPEC met and tried to what should I say? Put a stop on demand, cut production. They wanted production to go down to keep prices going up a little bit. And then all the OPEC countries agreed on this, but then Russia, who isn't an OPEC country, it has to be said, decided to turn around, even though it usually aligns itself with their policies. Turned around and went, "No, we're not cutting our production, so you guys can do what you want, but we're going to carry on pumping our oil out." And then in reaction to this, OPEC and but mainly led by Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest oil exporter has gone, right, that's it. We'll just flood the market with ours, and nobody will our oil, and nobody will benefit that much at all. In a great big two-finger salute to the Russians, shall we say? So, yet to see how long this will carry on for. It might turn out that the Saudis or the Russians bottle it very early on, or they might not. And if we don't, we get cheap petrol for the foreseeable future as one thing, and a significant cost cut to airlines, to cruise lines, and anybody that uses shipping or logistics or anything like that. Even transport companies like bus companies like National Express, or logistics companies, UPS, FedEx, all of them companies stand to benefit in some way from this oil price cut. Hey Ridge Mallory, cheers for checking in. Good to see you. Just type a little response there. Yeah, so this is the trouble with doing live. It's very unscripted. I probably should have slapped a script together before I started talking. But yeah, basically, I think it's a hold on tight for us investors that are already in. If you're not an investor in oil or oil companies, it's probably going to be a good time to get in. I mean, some of these shale prices I've not seen ever. I've not seen in my whole time of investing, going back years and years and years to get these prices still. And the last time I saw BP's price the way it is was when the Deepwater Horizon happened. So that just gives you the scale of the problem that we're going to be facing. But I do believe in the fundamentals of BP and Shell. Occidental, not so much, but I knew the risk I was taking with that one for the high yield. Shell's yield is now up at probably 10%, I would say. So could there be a dividend cut coming? Who knows? Don't think so, but you never know. Same with BP. BP's yield is now up to like 8%, 9%. So these are great companies to own as long as they're still making enough money and not getting into debt to pay the dividend. They probably will maintain the dividend. I don't think they will easily want to cut it unless things get really, really, really bad. But then that's the same for all the oil companies. They're all going to have their bank account suffering, and that's why I think Saudi's done this, is to deliberately cause some companies to suffer. Now the trouble is the big companies probably they will suffer a little bit, but they won't suffer. It's not going to bankrupt them. It's not going to do anything like that. They're just going to suffer a bit in the short term. But some of these companies that are just teetering on the edge, the smaller ones, or that have got significant debt loads already, like Oxy, they're going to be backs against the wall big time. And that is where, if I was going to put my money down somewhere on a dividend cut, I would say it would come through Oxy. But they might not, and I'm fingers crossed that they don't. But I was aware when I bought into them that they already had a significant debt load, and their ability to pay this debt off or get into more debt will be significantly affected by this cut in the oil prices. Now, looking at the I forget the word for it, commodities. There we go. Looking at the commodities market. Oil is heading for below $40, maybe even below $30 a barrel, which is something not seen in a very long time. And this has already had a cataclysmic effect on the FTSE 100. 130 billion was just wiped off it this morning within the first 10 minutes of trading. 130 billion just upped and disappeared away, which is quite frankly shocking, really, when you think about how much, like, if you put that money into gold or into paper form, how much money that is just to disappear in 10 minutes off elsewhere is absolutely incredible. Hey, my daughter's dividend investing journey. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Very, very, very interesting couple of weeks, I think, along with the health scare. And along with what else is going on in the world and the volatility, this is just adding to that big tinderbox of trouble. I think eventually when this does bottom out, or when it looks like it's bottoming out, that is the ideal time to start pumping in and buying some of these shares up at a ridiculous discount, absolutely ridiculous. But it's not about timing the market. I mean, personally, if I had the money now, I'd be considering, probably not today because I'd want the dust to settle on this. Got to be careful what you're saying here, because you don't want to try and time the market, because we all know as investors, especially as long-term investors, that's not the best thing to do. But why would you chuck money in today when you know there's going to be a lot of volatility? Why not wait until tomorrow or the next day just to see where the dust lies and where the dust settles? Because ultimately that's what you're trying to achieve, isn't it? Like, you don't want to just chuck money away to just lose money immediately. But equally, you don't want to sit on your money and have an opportunity cost because you decided that you couldn't, because you didn't want to or didn't have the bottle to just get it in there in the first place. It's like dollar cost average investing, where you just put in a little bit more, and as the price continues to do that, guess what? You just you increase your dividend yield and you bring down your average cost per share. Then when the share price recovers, you can still continue to just add little bits at a time. Yeah, Josh, you make a very, very, very good point. I think right there, a lot of investors will be in the same boat as you with that one, where they're just going to sit on the fence and wait and watch all these spikes go. Well, it's not really a spike, to be fair; it's just straight down. But let's just chill and just wait and see and watch. I'd have money in my if I had any money. I've already invested it for this month, to be fair. If I had any spare money, I'd definitely have it already in my free trade account. I would just hold it there in the meantime and just wait for opportunities. I think companies worth avoiding at the moment altogether are airline companies, cruise companies or travel companies, and oil companies. You need to really wait for them. But other sectors you could consider, defensive sectors or something along them lines, stuff that's like at a bit of a discount but not at a significant risk of falling even further. You could still definitely invest there. And you could probably look at the ETFs, maybe the SP 500 and the NASDAQ 100 and things like that, where because the risks all spread out over them, it's probably a little bit easier to put your money into. But I would say, yeah, a lot of people are going to be, more people than aren't, are going to be sat on the fence for at least the next week or so to see what happens and see where this health scare gets us. You got quite a few things going on at the moment. Like US presidential election coming up, Bernie Sanders, who knows? Nobody thought Trump would win. I think personally, most people will back Trump against Bernie should he win the nomination. But if it's the other guy, Biden, that could be a tighter race. But then Biden's not quite so extreme, so the market might not react as badly if Biden was to win over Sanders. Next up is the health scare, and we all know what's going on at the moment. How bad is that going to get? How bad are the travel restrictions going to get? How long are planes going to be parked on the floor for, or cruise ships docked alongside? Where are we going with that, and how long is it going to take before we start seeing a reduction in the cases? I think the general consensus now is that it's everywhere. There's no way of stopping it getting to your country. It's just about pushing the epidemic and pushing the outbreak into the summer months and hope the summer kills it, basically, because it'll be warmer everywhere and there'll be less pressure on a personal basis in the country that I live in. The NHS can actually take care of people a little bit lesser when excuse me, a little bit better, because there's less people in with other illnesses. I'm just going to pop and get my flask. I'm going to be 2 seconds. There we go. Excuse me a second while I take a little drink. Oh, that is a good coffee. Talking about coffee, Starbucks is looking like a very good buy at the moment. I would expect it to decline a tiny bit further, maybe, but it is saying that its stores are opening back up in China. Nowhere has been shut anywhere else yet, so I'd expect a hit to their quarter 2 earnings and probably into quarter 3 earnings, but their stock is significantly discounted right now at about $74 a share. It's something that I've looked to own for quite a while, so I would love to take advantage of that. But guess what? I'm out of money until payday, so out of official money. What are you saying there, Josh? Good name, Josh. My name's Josh as well. Yeah, bonds are probably quite a safe place to be. People are heading towards fleeing the market towards bonds, gold, even though I note that gold took a bit of a hit as well. This is a Josh team. I love it. There's 3 of us in here. That's great. 3 out of the 4 people involved in this conversation are called Josh. What are the odds on that? That's insane. Right, what was I saying? Yeah, so yeah, most people are fleeing the market at the moment towards the traditional safe havens, so gold. Even some people are withdrawing their investments to cash. I mean, that is not something that I do at the moment, because if I did that, I'd suffer a significant loss. I'd lose about £400 if I turned my stocks to cash. I would lose about £450 to the market conditions, and that is not something I plan to do. I'm in for the win, so to speak. I'm here for the long term. I'm on about holding these stocks for 10, 20, 30 years. So, in my opinion, come what may, as long as companies don't start going absolutely like bankrupt or whatever. I'm mainly in blue chip companies, so for a blue chip company to go under, which actually isn't an oil company, which isn't an oil company basically because I haven't got enough money in it for it to be. If I had the same amount of money in the other company, in Shell, as I did in the company that was my biggest loser, I would probably have significantly more losses. But hey, I'm talking about suggest that I'm well over £100 out of pocket on it. I think. Just give me 2 seconds to check. I think I'm well over £100 down at the moment, mainly due to health scare, issues and issues and getting it certified to fly again. And nobody's buying planes at the moment. Airlines aren't flying. So why would you £59 and £117 of that belongs to Boeing. How about that? But what I do note is that Airbus, it's I don't know, you could argue arch enemy, has been struck in a significant manner as well. So yes, Boeing's got its issues, but Airbus hasn't got so many issues. It got done on a bribery charge a little bit, and got heavily fined. But it's still been absolutely walloped by this as well. I'm just trying to find what the current price is. Right, yes. So Airbus has been absolutely clobbered by this as well. I mean, I've been hit hard by Boeing. I don't have any stocks in Airbus, but it's currently sitting at €94 a share, which is a significant hit because they were up at like 130, 140 euros a share. So I would say they've been hit in a similar manner as Boeing, but Boeing's got extra issues that I don't know. It's just sort of accepted now, and I'd watch out for a little bump in the price when this healthcare, the health issues are down in about 6 months' time as well. I'd watch out for a bit of a bounce in the Boeing price, and that's what I bought into it in the first place for. I wasn't expecting the price to go as low as it has, but I'm in for the long. I was in for the long term anyway. I took on that risk, and I might even buy an extra couple of shares now that the price is so low. Looking at $260 a share, you can almost pick a share up for £200. I think is crazy. Didn't think I'd ever be able to do that. I'm just going to get a proper update on Airbus for you. It's dropped even further. It's now 93 euros a share. So they've been hit just as hard, and I think that's the thing to think about really, is most of this is market wide. Everybody's being clobbered, so got to think about that. But then some sectors, because of the nature of their effect from oil, the nature of them being affected by the oil or the health scare, they're going to get hit harder than others. So at the moment, the big ones to look at for are travel companies in general across the board, whether they be travel agents, airlines, cruise lines, skiing companies, ski resorts, hotels. All of that is all going to get hit harder than average. So is anything that's an ancillary to that. So oil, if cruise liners aren't at sea, airplanes aren't in the sky, oil is going to get absolutely not used at all. And then we've got this oil war where oil isn't being used by the consumer, but yet the market is still being absolutely flooded by Saudi, Russia, and all the other companies. So that just squishes it from two ends, and which just means that the price is just going to keep falling. Let's have a little read. Sorry, my eyes aren't great. Yeah, I actually own Legal and General. I only own about 20 odd shares, and they were like 20% up for me, and now they're 10% down. And I'm keeping an eye on Aviva, because Aviva I wanted to add to my portfolio as well, because I wanted to get the finance sector just right. So, and they both pay a really good dividend. I think Legal and General plays a biannually one, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think is Aviva quarterly, or is it 6 monthly? I can't remember. I think it might be quarterly, but they're both ones that I'm looking to definitely add to my portfolio. And I just haven't got enough money. My wish list during this crisis, whatever you want to call it, oil, whatever, my wish list is as long as my arm, and my bank account isn't. So I have to select like the very best ones, or the ones that are at the best price at the time. Which is quite sad. I'm all out of money now. I've invested all I can since payday. I'm actually looking at trying to scrape some stuff together on eBay to sell some old clothes, some bits and bobs, Xbox games, anything that might buy me a few extra shares at a ridiculously discounted price. I'm in on it. Yeah, Flybe's gone, doesn't exist anymore. Exactly that. I mean, it could be said that Flybe was in a lot of trouble anyway. I mean, they'd already been bailed out by the government, so the fact that they've gone under significantly more pressure is just, it's not that unsurprising, to be fair. If you were going to put your money on a UK airline, or someone that operates in the UK going down with the ship almost, and it was I would have definitely gone for Flybe. I feel for their employees, and I feel for their investors, because they've just been on a roller coaster themselves, and then to think your job's safe, and then for this to happen, and it's just not great for them people. But at least there's a chance they can be re-employed. They are highly employable people, pilots and air hostesses or hosts. They can definitely go on to other airlines. It's upheaval, and I feel for them, but at least they've got somewhere else where they might be able to go. Though it has to be said that which airline's going to be recruiting staff at the moment when they're trying to send staff home unpaid and on leave, because they're just simply not flying anywhere. I mean, me personally, still am looking to go to Australia in April. Haven't booked yet, because a whole multitude of things really didn't really have the money for the flights up front. But now I'm glad that I haven't, because there could be some significant discounts coming, because there's got to get to a point where they still want to fly the plane, They still want to fly the plane rather than have it parked on the ground. But then, it's got to be cost effective to do so. So they've got to charge you so much and get so many people on board to make the flight viable, pay the staff, pay the costs of running the plane up and running the plane to wherever it needs to go. That's so I'm going to have to wait and see on that one. I'll be looking to book soon. So far, the price of the flight's actually fallen £300, which is really good for me anyway, I guess. But then the significant risk with that, you could definitely easily come across somebody that's got the health issue on board one of these flights and then have to worry about being quarantined or whatever. And that is exactly the reason why nobody's flying, or they don't want to get stuck and quarantined in a country that's not their country, or they're going to have to be off work or whatever. Significant disruption to when I can talk properly, disruption to people's lives, to people's holidays, and that's having a massive effect. And that is why insurance companies are probably as low as they are, because people are going to be looking at the insurance companies to pay out for travel. The airlines are going to be wanting to use insurance companies to claim on other various things as well, and everybody's going to be looking at the insurance companies going, well, you're going to pay us. And the insurance companies are going to find every excuse they can not to pay, but ultimately, in some instances, they're going to remain liable and they're going to have to pay out. It's interesting to see that the government did say, the government in the UK at least, I don't know about the rest of the world, the government in the UK said that they would bail out or give assistance or tax breaks or whatever to healthy businesses that will be affected by the health issue, and I think that actually makes sense. But the criteria for this is they've got to be a healthy business in the first place. You can't just say that you're the health scare's bankrupted your business if you were on your backside. On your backside anyway, and not making any money. You can only use it if you had a viable business case in the first place. Flybe is a prime example of that. They got their business, they got their bailout before, and this time around the government's gone, well, your model wasn't exactly working, you weren't really that profitable, so we can't bail you out again. But it is good to know that the government will support as many businesses as they can in not going bust. But you are right, there's going to be so many other companies that are going to go under because of this. Not just British ones, European, American, all of these. And I think that will be such a shame for a lot of people, and it's like gut wrenching because that's people's heart. Life savings, lives, homes, lives, especially if they're in debt and all that going up in the air. But at the same time, the health issue it's endemic. It's not being caused by anybody on purpose. So what can you do? You can't blame anybody. It's notoriously hard to track and isolate because people don't present symptoms until it's too late, when they've already touched that coat, they've touched that door handle, touched that coat banister, opened the door, coughed about 10 times all over the place. What can you do? I mean, the advice, wash your hands, is the best thing that you can offer, really, I suppose. Keep washing your hands. I've heard that the face masks, don't take this as gospel, but I've heard the face masks don't actually work that well unless you've actually got the virus and you're trying to stop yourself from transmitting it to others. Like, especially the thin paper ones, they're no good. You're better off leaving them to the healthcare professionals. You need to get the proper ones from 3M, the sawdust filters, if you actually want to make a difference. The paper ones are no good at all. But yeah, I can see why people are walking around with like antibacterial gels or anti-alcohol gels, hand sanitizers, and wearing latex gloves to go and do things and then dispose of the latex gloves afterwards. I can see exactly why people trying to protect themselves as best they can. Yeah, it's not a great situation to be in, but there is significant opportunity here for anybody that's a long-term investor, not looking to make a fast buck, because all these stocks are going to be significantly discounted and discounted for, excuse me, discounted for a very, very long time. I would say I think we're going to be in the midst of this crisis for 6 months, maybe. Giving you plenty of time to each time you get paid, buy a few more stocks, buy a few more stocks, buy a few more stocks. Just don't do it on days like today, where the market is clearly just all over the bloody shop. Nobody knows what's going on. You know, even seasoned traders, whatever, unless they're shorting an oil company, nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. Best to just leave it a little bit, to just let the dust settle, then maybe buy another couple of shares and then see what happens. But just, don't go all in on something something ridiculous too quickly, and just play patience and do your research. Look at the balance sheets of these oil companies and Carnival Cruises or the airlines. I mean, I have noticed that Warren Buffett's he's still getting into Delta Airlines. He obviously believes in them. He's done his research. So they're just building their position. Their price is rock bottom at the moment. So, of course, he's going all in on there. And I've heard that he's building a position in Occidental as well, which is very interesting. I'm not sure I'd be going in on Occidental right now if I didn't already have shares, but I think they've already got some in their portfolio as well. So maybe they're just averaging down. Oxy does have a significant debt burden, but as long as they can keep up with demand and somebody's prepared to either offer them the extra money that they need to pay the debt or to keep on top of the debt, they should be okay. I think they're the most at risk dividend, though. I will say that now. I think their dividend is most at risk, which is a little bit of a worry if you are a long-term dividend investor, like myself, of course. So going forward, I think for myself personally, I'm going to just watch and wait for probably the next week, the rest of this week, while I sell some things on eBay to try and get some money together so I can invest it. And then maybe next Monday, pending nothing disastrous happening over the weekend or any massive extra breaks in the news, I might be ready to at least put that money into my free trade account or into my brokerage. And then just play patience and see what opportunities there are, whether that be in oil companies or Boeing or Carnival Cruises. I am already in all of those companies. Or if I just sit there and wait or see an opportunity somewhere else like UPS or P&G or Amex, Apple, Microsoft, MasterCard, they're all on my watch list, all at significant discount. So I could just jump in on them quite easily and I wouldn't have any problem with doing so at all. Their prices are already attractive right now. And I think today is only going to cause them to go further down, I think. Yes, Josh, I do think the stocks are going to continue going down. I think the futures predicted that the Dow, all the Dow constituents are going to be down on opening today by a significant amount. They might recover a little bit throughout the day, but they will be down initially on open and down quite severely, I would say. And then I think the week will just tail off. I think most of the losses will be done today and tomorrow. And then the rest of the week, it will just sort of spike a little bit and go up and down, unless something significant happens, unless OPEC meets and they agree to cut production to boost the prices, or unless there's significant health issue updates or anything like that. I would say, that it should just tail off. And then I'd leave it for the weekend, and then next Monday is when I'm gonna look to put my money where my mouth is. If Shell dips again from where it is now, it's already at a price that I've never seen. It's like a 4-year lows now, 5-year lows. I'm already in for Shell if I can get hold of some money. I think I don't know. As long as it doesn't carry on into free fall, as long as it tapers off at some point, I might consider adding a couple of shares because they're so cheap now. You know, they're only £13. You know, you can't even go to Starbucks and have two coffees for that. And eBay bestsellers. What was I selling? So I've sold a few of my old Xbox games. I've sold my old Apple Watch, which I don't know why. Below 13 at OpenG. Wow, that's insane. Yeah, it was at about 13.77 when I last looked. Yeah, dividend experiment, that's probably about right. It almost seems like it's a bit of a backhanded stab at some of the US oil companies, which, considering the Saudi and the US are supposed to be allies, that is a real concern to be worried about. Russia and Saudi shouldn't be conspiring together against the US if the Saudis are aligned with the US, which they say that they are. So that's an interesting thing to watch over the future. I can't believe Shell's down that far. I really can't. Its yield now must be absolutely skywards. You need to buy Class B shares if you're not from the Netherlands, I believe. The Class A shares are for people that live in the Netherlands, something to do with the tax implications of owning them, I believe. Don't quote me on it. I think the only ones you can buy on free trade are Class B. So I've never had that issue. I've never had to choose. But I think B is for everybody else. A is for people in the Netherlands because they get better. They either get a better tax against it or they get a worse tax against it. I really can't remember. Sorry. Right, where was I? Yeah, eBay top sellers. I'm selling my old iWatch. I'm selling the old leather watch strap for it. I've sold Xbox games. I've sold my old Xbox One. What else did I sell? A little bit of furniture, a hoodie, clothes, two pairs of trainers that I don't wear, so might as well get them on. I've made a couple of £100 so far. I've got some other bills to pay as well, which is annoying. So I can't just literally get it all and chuck it in the stock market like I really wish I could. But certainly some of that will definitely make it towards the market. I can promise you that. Whether I'll go live and update when that happens or not, or whether I'll just make another YouTube video. So I do my portfolio updates once every month. So once every 4 weeks, I'll give you an update on my free trade and trading 212 portfolios. And that's typically when I invest, but this month is obviously a special case. So if I find any extra money, I might do a quick update video to show where my portfolio is at because of that. At the moment, all the money that I've put in has been wiped out anyway. I put £300 in this month at payday. My portfolio went up by £300 and then it went straight back down went from 3,000 to 3,300 and then straight back to 3,000 because it's just been wiped off into the ether of the stock market, which is what we all love, don't we? Absolutely not. So the future, who knows? I mean, you might as well get a crystal ball out or roll a dice. I have got no idea where this is going to go. I'm not sure that many other people have either. It all depends on the politics that play. Yeah, Josh, I think a lot of people are going to be 10% down. I mean, some people might count themselves lucky to be 10% down, to be fair. I think I'm roughly 10%. I'm in the same club as you in free trade. In my trading 212 portfolio, though, I'm down about 25%, I think, something silly like that. It's ridiculous. Just got to hold on for the long term, mate. That's all I can say. Keep literally white knuckles and hold on for dear life to what you've got. Don't sell anything at a loss because it's just not worth it. It really isn't worth it. I mean, these are bad things that are shocking the market, but ultimately you're going to recover eventually. Eventually, it's got to happen. Whether the health crisis continues, whether the oil crisis continues, eventually the Saudis, the Russians, somebody's going to want to turn off the tap so they can keep some of their oil reserves at the end of the day and sell it at a better price for more money. Like it's a supply and demand thing. And as for the health scare, eventually it has to burn itself out. It has to. At some point, everybody will be infected, and that's terrible because if that were to happen, there are a lot of vulnerable people out there that could ultimately pay the price for that. But it should eventually crash itself out. And exactly that, be patient, hold on as tight as you can, and just be very, 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 very patient indeed. And you'll be surprised how quick the market will recover as well. Like if you look at some of the stats in it when people have analysed these things, albeit it's not been an oil price war and a massive health scare issue at the same time before, but the market nearly always bounces back to where it was within about 4 to 6 months and is on the up again within 12 months. So there's nothing to be too concerned about. I don't think I'm not concerned. I think you just literally need to hold on for dear life. If you can make money out of shorts, if you're a Robinhood app person or something like that, or puts or whatever you do, then that's a really good thing for you to take advantage of. But for us dividend investors like myself, it's just grab in while you can at a cheap price, great yield. Check that the companies, do your research, check that the company's actually going to survive and make money in the future, and just get in and hold on to what you've got. If you haven't started investing, like now or once the dust settles, now would be an absolutely fantastic time to start, with prices practically reset 2 years, 3 years, 4 years back, in some cases maybe even longer than that. I can't remember ever seeing Shell at £12 a share or £12 something a share. I really can't. What was it? My eyes are terrible today. I'm having to zoom in to look at the comments that people make. So I'm actually a Carnival investor myself. I've only got the 2 shares because that's all the spare money that I had. I would say you're in for the long haul for Carnival, because they're isolating cruise ships. They're advising against all travel to cruise ships or on cruise ships, and they're a hotbed for spreading the virus, as clearly seen in multiple incidences now. I mean, the one good thing about it is, well, not good. There's no good thing at all, really. But it's relative to the whole market. So if Carnival struggling, so is Royal Caribbean, so is Virgin, so is Norwegian Cruise Lines. All of them are stuck in the same boat. Forgive the pun. All of them are stuck in the same boat or ship together. So they will all go down together, and then they will recover together as well. What you need to look at is the debt burden that they all carry. Now, Carnival does have some debt, but its balance sheet has covered that in the past quite well. They have. I would be careful that they have manipulated their EPS a little bit, because they've bought back some of their shares to increase their earnings per share. We've actually looked into their balance sheet. All their fundamentals have been quite strong. Everything is covered. I would predict that they're going to have some cash flow problems in the near future, because people probably aren't booking tickets, aren't turning up for cruises, and they're still having to pay the debt on them, but they're not actually earning any money. So they'll be dipping into their cash reserves, or they'll be asking investors for extra money, extra credit, basically, to get them through. Or they might even turn to the government as well, because it's a massive earner. Now, personally, I would say Carnival Cruises, you're going to have to wait at least 6 months for this problem and this health scare to get under control and go away, basically. And then at that point, when it's like evened out and it's bottomed out, and people actually start coming out their shells again and start eking the time out and start eking out the houses again and start having a bit of confidence, having a bit of confidence in traveling again. That's when you're looking at. So I would say you're looking at least 2021, probably 2022 before you see prices recover to what they were. So Carnival was at about £35 a share, I think it was originally, once upon a time. It does seem like once upon a time now, doesn't it? For it to recover to that, I think you're looking at least 18 months, I would say. I would hope that they don't cut their dividend in the meantime, but at the same time, I wouldn't want them to pay the dividend by getting themselves into debt. Boeing did that recently. So Boeing's decided that like they wanted to basically borrow money to pay the dividend because they didn't want to upset the shareholders. I think that would upset Carnival Cruises shareholders as well if they didn't get a dividend for holding on to them. So I really hope they don't cut it, but I'd rather they didn't bankrupt the company to do so, which I don't think they will. They've got to have better management than that. But it will be interesting to see what happens over the following weeks, months, and years. But long term, I think if you broaden your horizons and you go to 5 years down the line or 10 years, which most of us dividend investors actually do, you'll make any money that you've lost. You'll definitely make back. You'll have the dividends in the short term that will grow in the long term, and then the share price will recover, and then hopefully kick on a bit after that as well. And ultimately, you'll be looking back at your portfolio in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, going, Jesus Christ, look at that 100% return that I've got on that one. Amazing. And then you've had all the dividends in the meantime as well. I don't think the system's going to go down, Daniel. There's too many rich, important, powerful people that aren't going to allow that to happen. And ultimately, what's the worst case scenario? It doesn't kill that many of its hosts, this health scare. It just doesn't. So for the most part, people get ill and they get better, and then most people are immune to it then, so you can carry on going about going about your work and doing whatever. The biggest stunt is the loss of productivity due to people being off work, and the damage that that's going to do to people's pockets and businesses' pockets. And this is going to be for the next 6 months or so, or year, I would say. But recovery will definitely happen. Eventually, somebody has to turn the oil tap off, and because they want to make more money again. Eventually, worst case, everybody gets infected and then recovers, and we have to deal with the awful situation of how many people, especially the older generation, how many that would affect. But eventually it happens, and the world is going to survive. There's no doubt about it. It might be with over a few million people less, and that is a god awful thing to say if it wasn't controlled. But the world would survive and carry on, and the system isn't going to come crashing down because of that. Governments won't allow it. The powerful won't allow it. So I've got no problem with that. So did you add Carnival Cruises before the health crisis? Because that would be a significant loss. I added my first share on the first time the first time it hit the market, so I got it at about a £5 discount, and then I bought my next share about 2 weeks ago when it was already down at like £24, and now it's continued to drop to £20. So I'm going to wait. And see what happens at that point before I buy any more. I think we're getting towards the bottom now. I mean, it's never going to be worth zero, is it? Let's face it. Even if they just sold the steel that the ships are made of, it would be worth more than zero. So it's never going to get down to when it's at absolutely worthless. But how low can it go? Well, that's a very good question. It's really difficult to tell, isn't it? Um, I'm just going to play patient and try and see when the dust settles roughly where the bottom is. I'm not going to say I want to wait for the bottom for it to be at its absolute lowest price, but when it's going to continue to in free fall, there is no point in buying in when it's continuing to do that. You're just trying to catch a falling knife at that point, aren't you? You might as well try and wait for the knife to hit the floor, so to speak. But don't try and do the opportunity cost side of things where you sat there never investing in anything at all because you think that it's going to get closer to the bottom. You're welcome, Dan Crew. Very interesting point of view there. What's going on there? So you can tie. If you have £5,000 to invest, that is a considerable amount of money, and investing it all now would do you no harm whatsoever because everything is already at a 5, 10, 20% discount. But I would not invest it today, being honest. And please don't take my opinion on this as gospel. It's just an opinion. You might want to speak to somebody a little bit more qualified or an actual financial advisor. But I would wait for the rest of today and tomorrow. Let the US stock market open and tank and see what happens then, because it's going to. I can't see how it won't with all what the futures are pointing towards. Just let the dust settle today. I know you're right. You can't time the stock market, and nobody's telling you to. But as I just said, you don't want to try and catch a falling knife. Just let it chill. Just let the dust settle. By all means, have it in your account and in your brokerage ready to snipe an opportunity straight away if you see it. But there's no rush. There's no need to try and ram it all in straight away. But if you did, it wouldn't be the end of the world because everything is already at a significant discount. You might lose some money in the short term, but you've already gained by everything being as low as it is. But when there's big jolts like the news today and the health scare and oil prices and all that, it's best to avoid the market unless you're a trader. It's best to avoid the market for the first at least few hours of trading. Me personally, if I had that sort of money, I'd wait today out, at least today, and let the dust settle on it. I keep saying that, really. I shouldn't keep saying dust settle, but let everything calm down, let everything simmer, and see what happens tomorrow. Unless you do your own research and you see a significant opportunity, and they do happen, and then you can, at least if the money's in your brokerage, you can react on it straight away and grab hold of it, which is ultimately what we're here to do. Yeah, don't take anything out of it. You can definitely invest it all today, no problem. If you're impatient or you haven't got the time to do it at any other point, you won't go too far wrong. Just if you hold off a little bit and let the dust settle, there might be a little bit better opportunity. But equally, don't sit on the fence for too long because you could be waiting till the cows come home. Right, bloody hell. Is that a tour of duty of Iraq, was it? Or were you just working out there in what respect? Sorry, if you don't mind me asking. I'm just interested. Well, if you've done the research, yeah, just get into the dividend companies. If you're going to hold them for 5 years anyway, what difference does the price make really? If you're going to hold it for the next 10 years, what's the difference between buying a stock at $50 and $45? I mean, it looks great in your portfolio when you've got that extra little 4 or 5% gain, but how do you know that it's not going to go up again tomorrow and then you'll be 5% worse off? It's just too hard to. It's just so hard to predict. But yeah, in my opinion, you couldn't go wrong if you invested it today. But I'd wait out at least today and just go with at some point towards the end of the week, or allow for the weekend again. Hope that it's chill and no major news impacts happen over the weekend, and then go for it next week, Monday, Tuesday next week. I always avoid Monday investing. I'm not a trader. If I was a trader, Monday is a good time. But I always avoid Monday morning investing or early trading investing, because early day investing, because that's when it's most volatile. You get that morning peak or you get that morning dip, in my opinion anyway. So I'm more likely to go towards the middle of the session when you know what's sort of going on at that point and you know where the stock is for that day or for that week. Oh, interesting. It's quite a long tour. I mean, I'm assuming that is military. I mean, I'm military myself. I work in the Royal Navy in the UK, so don't need to give away too much more than that. But yeah, I'm military as well. I was deployed for 7 months last year, and then came back and invested all my money into the all my money saved. It bought a investment property with one part of it and invested the rest in the stock market. And here I am. And then I set up a YouTube channel to help people out, because I think everybody should be able to do it. It's handy for us returning from a tour. UK Navy, Royal Navy. That's brilliant. What are the odds on that? Oh, great. Where are you based? Excuse us while we have this little sidetracked conversation here. Ex-Navy, what the hell is going on here? This is mad. Where? Vaslane, right? Oh, nice. I'm in Portsmouth. I'm at HMS Collingwood at the moment. I'm on a course, a promotion course. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just helping out, doing my part. Portsmouth as well, Lang, very nice, very, very nice. Yeah, so I'm on a course at the moment to become a petty officer, basically. So I'm stuck here for the next 7 months. So while I'm here, might as well help out. Might as well help out and let people share my knowledge. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm sort of sensible with my money. It does help that every now and again you go on a deployment or a tour and you come back with a little bit special money. So I got my dividend portfolio, I've got a growth portfolio, I've got a speculative dividend portfolio, and I've got 2 buy-to-let properties. That doesn't qualify me to tell you anything, but I can at least share my opinions and my knowledge. I think I'm about going to have to wrap things up shortly as well, because I've got to go back to work. But it's been really good. It's been really good talking with you guys. That's for sure. I'm just going to drink my coffee. Yeah, what a way to spend your lunch break. Live streaming YouTube and assisting everybody. I'm very happy to help. So yeah, all right then, we'll wrap things up shortly. High informed trades, great that you literally just came slap bang in the middle of me wrapping things up. But good to see you, and thanks for stopping by. I would massively appreciate it if you could like this video, because I am definitely going to upload this to my channel, so the likes and the views would massively support me, and subscribe to my channel if you really could. And I am I'm a type 45 man, Lang. I've served on Duncan and Dauntless. I'm actually in the TV program that's on at the moment on Channel 5, Warship: A Life at Sea. You can see me lingering in the background on that photo, and I'm a weapon engineer. So I love fixing stuff, apparently. Would you believe it? That's something. Yeah, I pretty much guessed, based in Fazland, that you were going to. Although I do understand there are some mine hunters up there. The MCM ones, I think. I did spend some time on MCMs in Portsmouth once upon a time. It's going back a few years now when I was just a young ET, which was quite fun. Ah, nice, yeah. T-boats, well, they still are in Plymouth, are they not? All the Airbus are Faslane though, and the nuclear arms stuff. I think programs out there. I've not been interviewed in it, but you can every now and again you can see me around just doing my job, bimbling around the ship. Wasn't a bad deployment, to be fair. I know quite a few people on T-boats, and with some submariners on my course actually, all petty officer submariners, WEs, or about to be petty officer submariner WEs. Yeah, they're all in my class. I think there's 6 of them in my class at the moment. I don't know a Bainbridge now because I'm on Collingwood. So many times I've thought about that. So many times I've thought about going submariner just because I'm greedy in terms of money. But I do have a partner and I do have a relationship that I want to keep up, and I like sunlight and I like going alongside in places that I like. Although I guess you guys get hotels when you go alongside. I have thought about it, and if I was young, free, and single, I definitely would consider it. But I'm definitely not as young as I used to be, and I'm definitely not single anymore. So I'm going to have to just put up with being a skimmer, a WE skimmer for the rest of my career, which has still got quite a while left, hopefully, with a bit of luck. Hopefully I can invest to the point where when I'm done, I can just retire and not do much. I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, Cool Wide. At least I'm sat in a room on my own, and I'll definitely wash my hands before I go back to my class. But thank you for the health information, I think. Right, anyway, I'm going to wrap things up there, guys. Oh, that's brilliant. This is true. I did that on my leadership. Slept under a bloody bivvy in the middle of the forest for a full week in the middle of Salisbury Plain, and it rained all day and all night, all 4 days and all 4 nights until we went home on the Friday morning. It was disgusting, but I've got to get back to my class. Really good speaking with you. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you like what I'm doing here. I'm always happy to support. If you want to actually fire me a message when I'm not on YouTube, I've got an Instagram account called Dividend Bloodhound Investing. If you catch me on there, you can fire me a DM and we can talk about whatever you want for as long as you want. I will catch you all around very soon in the next stream. See you later.